That, children, was the wind blowing because it's been windy outside. And I'm going to read you a windy story too. And it's going to be about Piglet. Piglet from Winnie the Pooh. So we've got our little piggy guest back. Hello. Right, you sit there with Lamb Chop. Behave yourself. Okay. And I thought I'd put my nice hat and fancy gloves on so that I can be nice and warm in the wind. I haven't got a scarf. I should have put a scarf on too, shouldn't I, really? But I've got a nice tassel on my hat. Anyway, how are you lot? So I missed doing a story yesterday, but perhaps you didn't know that. Anyway, the sun's been shining today. It was windy in the night, but it's not windy now. But I'm going to read this wonderful story called Piglet's Blustery Adventure. So, are you sitting comfortably? I think you are. Then I'll begin. Piglet's Blustery Adventure. Piglet looked up at the tree above his garden. All through the 100-acre wood, hundreds and hundreds of red and yellow and orange leaves were falling from the trees. It seemed to Piglet that they were all falling in his garden. Now, what time of the year do the leaves fall? I know, it's called autumn. And there's conkers on the trees and cones and lots of leaves. And you can kick them, can't you, with your boots and walk through them. And they're lovely. I used to go to school in a park, in the middle of a park called Braunston Hall that's near to Auntie Anne's house now. And in the autumn there were so many leaves on the floor that we used to wade through them and then play with them. It was really good fun. Anyway, so the leaves are falling in Piglet's garden. Oh dear, Piglet exclaimed as leaves landed on his face. There are so many leaves and only one of me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to rake them all up. Still, it had to be done. Piglet tried to rake the leaves into one big pile, but every time he gathered a few rakefuls together, the wind scattered them around again. There he is trying to get them all together. Not working. Piglet chased the blowing leaves until he had to stop and catch his breath. Raking is very hard work for such a very small animal, he said to himself, especially when the wind keeps playing with the leaves. Piglet ran after leaf. He followed a red leaf around his garden 3 times before he caught it. Piglet smiled at his small victory. A moment later, the wind whooshed the leaf away again. There. Perhaps I should ask Pooh for some help. Piglet shut his eyes against a gust of wind. If the wind will let me get to his house. The wind seemed to have another plan. A mischievous gust lifted Piglet up into the air. Oh dear, there he is, up in the air. Oh dear, help, Piglet called. No one was there to hear him. Piglet tried to grab hold of a low branch, but it was no use. Higher and higher the wind lifted him until Piglet sailed above the treetops. Oh my goodness, he must have been very light for the wind to lift him like that. He looked back at his yard and clutched his rake even tighter. Goodbye, house, Piglet called as his house became smaller and smaller. I hope I'll be back soon. It seemed to Piglet that the wind wasn't going to put him down any time soon. Piglet tried to be brave and tried to think of a plan. He would have to get one of his friends to help him. But how, Piglet thought, and who? Piglet wondered. The wind seemed to answer Piglet's questions by blowing him towards Owl's house. Oh, Owl, shouted Piglet as he sailed past Owl's window. Help! There's Owl's house in a tree. Fancy that. Owl was just about to have his afternoon tea. Care for some tea and biscuits, Piglet? Owl called as he saw Piglet outside his window. Owl waited for Piglet's answer. Piglet tried to hold on to Owl's window frame, but the wind pulled him away. "Oh, well, if you're in a hurry, by all means don't let me keep you," said Owl as Piglet blew away. "Perhaps another time." He thought he was just crawling by. He didn't realise the wind was taking him, did he? The wind puffed Piglet over to the meadow where Tiglet was doing his mid-afternoon bouncing. Piglet bobbed up and down with the wind. "Oh dear!" Piglet held on to his rake to steady himself. "The bouncing is definitely not what piglets do best." He doesn't want to bounce. Tigger bounced along beside Piglet as he blew past. "Say, Piglet, old pal, what are you looking for? Bouncing, buddy?" "No," cried Piglet. "I'm not bouncing." Then, just before Piglet could say anything more, the wind rushed him away. "Ta-ta for now," Tigger called after him as the wind bounced Piglet across the meadow. "Keep on bouncing. You're doing fantabulous." Turned over 2 pages together then. That's no good, is it? Right. Piglet didn't feel fantabulous as the wind carried him towards a meadow. There, far below, he saw Eeyore standing outside his house of sticks. There's Eeyore in his house of sticks. How nice. "But perhaps if I call to Eeyore, he can call Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin will save me from this wild wind," Piglet said. The wind threw him for a loop-de-loop and swooped Piglet down towards Eeyore. "Eeyore, it's Piglet! Can you call Christopher Robin, please?" Piglet shouted as loudly as he could. Just as Eeyore was about to look up, the wind blew his house of sticks down. Eeyore never saw Piglet zipping overhead, clutching his rake. "Thought I heard someone calling me," he said. Piglet waved wildly and cried, "Eeyore! Eeyore, up here!" But try as he might, Piglet couldn't get Eeyore's attention. The wind whistled so loudly that it drowned out Piglet's very small voice. "Must have been the wind," Eeyore stared at the sticks on the ground. "Just the kind of visitor I'd get." He is a bit miserable, isn't he, Eeyore? My goodness, he always is. Right. Piglet started to think that the wind would never let him touch the ground again. He felt one last bit of hope as he saw Rabbit's garden up ahead. "Oh, I do hope Rabbit is out," Piglet said. "Perhaps he'll see me." Rabbit was out in his garden picking apples from a tree. As Piglet blew near, he saw Rabbit climb his ladder. Rabbit reached for the reddest, roundest, shiniest apple on the tree. Oh, look at that. We haven't got any apples on our trees yet, but we have blossom. And after the blossom, the apples will come. "If only I could reach this apple," Rabbit gasped and stretched his arm as far as he could. The perfect red apple hung just beyond his fingertips. Just then, Piglet whooshed past. He grabbed hold of the topmost branch of the apple tree, just long enough to shake the apple loose. Plunk! Down the apple fell right into Rabbit's paw. "Why, thank you, Piglet," Rabbit said as he admired his apple. The wind whisked Piglet away before he could even cry, "Help!" He's got the apple, and poor Piglet's still whisked away. Piglet was growing tired of the wind's game and tired of trying to be brave. He wished he were back in his cosy home, even if his garden was covered with leaves. "I wish the wind would play with the leaves and leave me alone," Piglet said. He tried not to sniffle as the wind tossed him this way and that. "I miss my warm little house." Yes, the froggy looking up at him. Perhaps the wind heard Piglet and felt sorry for him. It suddenly seemed to get tired too. The gust died down to a gentle breeze that carried Piglet lower and lower and lower until it dropped him with a slight thump. It took Piglet a moment to realise where he was. He looked around and saw that he was in Pooh's garden. Piglet hurried over to his friend's door and knocked as loudly as he could. Doesn't he look happy now? I would be too after all that. Well, hello, Piglet, said Pooh. There, he's let him in. I was going to visit you, but Owl and Rabbit said you were out. Which you were, on your way to visit me. Why, Pooh, you're right, said Piglet. The wind brought me here. Pooh nodded. I was going to help you rake, Piglet, but it was so very blustery. Perhaps we could have a smackerel of honey instead. Piglet put down his rake very quickly. Oof, I've had enough raking for one day, Pooh. I think I'll just let the wind play with the leaves today. And as if the wind heard Piglet, it twirled a swirl of red, yellow and orange past Pooh's window, and Piglet felt very grateful indeed to be safe inside his friend's house. And I'm sure they had some yummy honey and some tea together. Wasn't that nice? There we go. So, well, I've got to go make the dinner now. Well, I don't have to, but I want to. And today we're going to have eggs. And also we're going to have trifle for afterwards, because in my cupboard I found some jelly and I found some dream topping and I made some custard. So I put my raspberries in the jelly and I made the jelly. Then I made the custard. Then I whipped the dream topping and put it on top. And I even put sprinkles on top. And I gave Grandpa a big surprise. He wasn't expecting trifle. He said, oh my, that's really good. So we're going to have some more of it tonight. So I hope you're going to have some nice tea. And did you have some chocolate? I think you got some chocolate through the post. I hope you had good Easter egg hunts. That was fun, wasn't it? Okay, well, I'll see you all tomorrow. Let's say goodbye. You were very good, little piggy. Wasn't you good? Bye. You were quite good too, Lamb Chop, but then you always are a little cuddly person. And Rabbit, wow, good as gold. Sitting comfortably, just like he's supposed to. Right, we won't have the wind this time. We'll try Twinkle Twinkle, shall we? I'm getting quite good at that. Goodbye, children.